Hi everyone, my name is Bly, and this is my presentation on snap peas, how I chose to support them in order to preserve them and prolong their growing season before harvest. First, I started off with two different varieties. On the one hand, I tried this brand, Botanical Interest. This is my first time growing anything whatsoever, let alone snap peas. So I thought trying a couple of different kinds would be good for me. The second kind I got was this Ed Hume seeds. This one is a green kind, the other is a purple kind. I'm really excited once the peas grow and we can see what they look like. For materials, I used a few different things. The first one is this sort of disc. I have a small video to show how these work, but basically you get these wet and they absorb moisture and they make a really good home for the seeds to live in. These are paper cups that you can use. They're made out of cardboard or material like that, and then they're decomposable. These are red solo cups. I don't really advise using something made out of plastic only because it's not really environmentally sustainable. Before I put them in all these different seedling containers, I germinated them by just soaking the seeds in water for about 24 hours. If you read the direction on the back of the seed pack, it advises you to do that. Here I have my really dirty one right here, and it says that it's supposed to prolong the growth by 2 weeks. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but that's what the directions say. Let's see here. This is a small time-lapse video I have to just kind of show how it works. So I took a pie dish in my house and I just filled it with some water. And as you can see, the discs are absorbing it. The water is going down. The discs are starting to expand. And then you'll see me, I use a chopstick, like it's kind of shaped like this, and I poke in there to make it hollowed out enough for the pea seed, because if you ever see them, it is the size of a pea. It's very small, but somewhat big in comparison to other seeds like a tomato seed or something. So I just kind of packed it down, made room for the seed, and then I used extra soil on top of it to just cover them. And then I kept them pretty wet. I actually grew them in this pie dish in my windowsill, and I just kept water in there at all times. Just a little bit, not a lot. Oops. Oh boy. All right. So this shows how wet it was. There was like a little bit of moisture here, but nothing too wet. I just never let it completely dry out, but it wasn't sitting in a lake of water. You don't want them to mold. These are the peas as they start to grow. So this is kind of what they look like. I wish I got a picture of them out of the pack to show you, but fortunately I didn't get one. They look something like this, just without this growth right here. The reason why I started them in my house is because it's a controlled temperature. We keep our house somewhere around 70 degrees, 65 degrees. It's been colder, so it gets cold at night, but we use our heat, so it kind of gets warm during the day and stuff like that. So they were able to kind of have a really nice growing temperature. If I were to just put them straight outside, they probably wouldn't grow as big, and some of them would probably die. This next picture shows the first growth that started coming up. I thought this was so beautiful. This was my background on my computer for a little while just because it's so nice with all the colors. Just had to add it. So these are the different growths. This shows the germination. I wish I got a close-up picture, but this is the best I got. You can see there's little seeds in here, and it's terrible quality and it's so far away. But if you squint your eyes a little bit, you can see the tiny little bits of green growth shooting out there, and that's when I took them from this and put them in something like this. And you can see these peas starting to shoot up. They grow pretty quickly. So this would be the purple variety. These are the magnolias. And then these ones are the sugar snap peas, the pole kind. So the red solo cups are the green ones, and then these paper cups and the discs are the purple kind. And then this is a part I had my friend help me with, and I know that this is not a part of the assignment, but this is a fertilizer I used with my peas. This is rabbit tea. I don't actually own any rabbits, so this is something I couldn't have made all by myself. And I have a friend who's actually, her mom made it for us and she gave it to us. And so we kind of traded. She traded me this fertilizer and then I bought the supplies. So I bought her little discs and her cups, and we thought it was a nice trade-off. And then this is how it looked when I transported them into the raised garden bed. So at our apartment, we share a raised garden bed. I didn't build this, so it's kind of a bummer that all of these methods that I have didn't come directly from me. So it's kind of sucky that I can't entirely use one thing, considering I didn't build a raised garden bed all by myself. I'm just sharing it with my neighbors, so I'm using about half of it, and then this other half that you can't see is what they have growing on their side. You can see these beans were grown pretty good, and then the ones that didn't have stalks yet, but they were still in there, I just went ahead and put them right in the ground. And if they didn't ever, germinate and they just ended up dying, I figured it would be okay, and if not, then they would grow. And here's where you can see the first little signs of growth, and there's some in the background here. You can't really tell, but here they are when they're real tiny. And this raised garden bed, it's definitely better than putting it directly in the soil, like in the ground, because the soil that is in this raised garden bed is really, really nutrient dense. It has a lot of elements that are really, really good for the growth of the beans and anything really that you want to grow in there. The soil is nice and dark. It's almost black underneath this top layer. That's a little bit brown and dry, but underneath it's really, really nice. There's earthworms that live in here that we've added. It's also a little bit warmer than the ground would be, and it's just helps them grow a little bit better. Once my snap peas started getting a little bit big, so you can see in this picture they didn't have a trellis. I was just letting them grow on their own. I was trying to let them get really, really strong all by themselves, but then they did eventually topple over because they didn't have anything to grapple onto with their little tendrils. So I actually just DIY'd this trellis. I didn't want to buy a real one at the store. They were kind of expensive, and I figured I could just do something better with what I had. This was supposed to be a garden fence to line, like in the picture, it showed it was lining like somebody's garden from their lawn. And I just broke it into pieces, basically. They're just made out of wire. And you can see this little piece right here. I just used a pair of pliers and kind of dismembered them. And then I put them where I thought they needed to be most. And the peas know exactly what to do. I kind of started by helping them, the ones that were super toppled over. I kind of tried to nicely put them to it, say, hey, look what you got here. And then they knew what to do after that, and they just love it now. This shows what they look like right about now. I just took these pictures a couple days ago. So you can see how well they're growing. They're starting to grapple on. They're really using it. It makes me so happy. All of these little tendrils starting to wrap around the pole show that it's just growing and grabbing onto it. You can see this one over here in the way background. And you can really start to see how these stems are growing. Like this one, for example, it was on the ground, so it's kind of bent from falling over and then trying to regrow up like this, and then it found this fence, so it's using it to kind of pull itself back up and just go exactly where it needs to go. So that's super cool. and they're just ginormous leaves. They're so nice and big. This is the magnolia. You can see the little bit of purple here at the base. Hopefully we get flowers soon. Not yet, but I keep checking. There's nothing. Here's a show of the tendrils and what they look like. They feel somewhat sticky, not sticky like sap, but like if you ever have like a frog grab onto you and it's like it just is really grippy, that's what these tendrils feel like. They're super, super grippy, like construction gloves or something, and it's super awesome because if you put it on anything, they just like stick and grab and just know exactly what to do. And then once my peas are harvested, I am going to have quite a bit of peas. I only have myself and my partner. There's only 2 of us trying to eat all these peas, and so we definitely plan on freezing them once we have them. That's going to make them last at least somewhere between 6 months and 8 months. And then, of course, we're going to be giving them away to our friends as well. So I just thought this meme was really funny, so I added it in here. That's the end of my presentation, and I hope you guys found it rather interesting. Yeah, have a great night. Bye.